I've never thought of this tactic as very clever, but it is effective. I mean, most people are good people, which means they're gullible. Most people don't care about things. They truly don't care about things that matter. They're involved in, entertainment and convenience. The example I usually rattle off: aliens don't exist, they never will. The closest we'll ever see is a man made abomination, a test tube alien. So you got the Disclosure Project, which was funded and continues to be funded by the Rockefeller Trust. What you need to appreciate is Hillary Clinton was also part of that. The reason I mentioned the Disclosure Project is it was renamed, it was rebranded, if you will, and now it's also known as, and it's splintered off into, the Gaia Project. It's the same propaganda. But most people don't realize those two things are connected. They don't realize where the Gaia Project came from. Because most people didn't look back and figure out why the Disclosure Project was spoon-fed to the internet. I keep stressing, you and I have social media, which is a social engineering platform, each one of these. And they are free because we are doing what our masters want, which is why we have access to the DARPA internet. If you and I posed a threat to our masters, we wouldn't have access to the internet. So here's the same fucking song and dance, but related to something else. It's the same tactic.
They're changing the names of food dyes. So I made this chart for you so that you can look out for them on your food labels and where you can find them as well. I recently learned they're changing.
In the event you're assuming a great many things and you're not going to look into any of this anyhow, I might have offended you because you want to believe in aliens. Here's another example. You and I, at least on this profile, I'm on Instagram, which is LifeLog 2.0, mind you. Facebook is LifeLog. The day that LifeLog was supposedly going to be disbanded because it was deemed unethical, unconstitutional, and a number of other things. Instead, it was supposedly rebranded or renamed, and a lot of people will refute this, but it's the same day that Facebook launched. Do you remember people being herded in a digital format from MySpace to Facebook? Do you remember that? That's another tactic. And that's probably going to go over most people's heads because I didn't think for you and connect those dots. You and I are training the AI. We are profiling ourselves. We're doing exactly what our masters want. If I were to jump into one of these and click on the comment section, you see what's written into the algorithm? Emojis. Who cares, right? Emojis are our master's social engineering stickers in place to do away with abstract thought. Every single time you pop in and you lazily click on one of these sigils instead of leaving a thoughtful comment, this urges other people to assume that you don't leave thoughtful comments. You don't spell your words, you don't do any of that stuff. So now there's an entire generation that will say, you're yapping. And or if you write a proper sentence, they'll claim that you are fucking AI. I am speaking from experience. Usually I'll leave really lengthy comments just to see if some of these kids who have no attention span will fucking read them and think about what was said. But every now and again, I'll leave something succinct on there. And I'll still be accused of being AI because of these social engineering tactics that are alive and well. In the event that you're interested in what I just said, or you want to look into it to prove what I just said doesn't hold water, you should. Look up the Tavistock Institute. That's where all these social engineering campaigns are coming from. Another aspect of this is the Davos panel. Another aspect of this, which you and I aren't privy to in any form or way, is the Bilderberg Group. The Davos panel is the public forum, and those transcripts are available to you and I. Most recently, the Davos panel has gone on record and stated that their man-made weather warfare via HAARP, HAARP, which should not exist, but does because people aren't doing the right fucking thing. What was I thinking? I just lost my train of thought because I grazed the heater next to me. HARP shouldn't exist, blah, 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 weather warfare. Oh, so what our masters said during the Davos panel is they're not concerned with global warming and all this other shit because they're creating this anyhow through cloud seeding and crop dusting us with chemtrails and a number of other things. Sprinkling chemicals in the upper atmosphere is part of how this has been facilitated. That's why things are heating up, among other things. But people haven't figured that much out because they bought into Al Gore's horse shit. So what the Davos panel openly stated was they're going to crack down on people like me who urge people to fucking think for themselves and do the right thing. You know, freedom of speech, which doesn't exist anymore. Because people call it canceling, shadow banning, polarizing positive vibes only, or you're bullying people. Checks and balances, motherfucker. And without them, things get wildly out of hand. Now we have an entire generation that doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman. It's one of many examples. It's a problem because it's a binary system. That's what reflects reality, and there's nothing but proof, but people believe in something else, and it's reaffirmed through, you know, the John Q. Public and this, you know, the moral majority, if you will. So again, people like myself, through the Davos panel, they openly stated that there are going to be steep fines, there's going to be steep consequences for people who do the right fucking thing and are trying to get everybody else to fucking think for themselves and begin this journey. Because if they did, you and I would be part of a harmonious system. If you look around, things are bad and getting worse. They're not going to change. That's the trajectory. Unless the moral majority out there, the majority of people you and I know and bump into, pull their heads out of their ass. But most people, I usually will joke because most people think light has speed. They assume that they live on the globe theory or the fucking ridiculous flat earth. If you've never heard me say this before, both of those outlines are in place because you can't use either of them as a tool. I'm sitting on answers, but when I leave stuff online, for the most part, either people don't see it, or if they do, they don't think about it, and or don't care because they have a bunch of sensational fucking garbage to choose from in their feed where they're spoon-fed propaganda. What the fuck do I know? If you sat through this, thanks. The next step is to think about it, after which you would need to look into it and prove what I said is true, in fact holds water, and then you'd have to challenge yourself so that down the line, after getting things wrong more often than not, you could challenge others and also do the right fucking thing.